Welcome to A Reality of Faith and Wisdom. My name is Yuri, and we have a new podcast for you. My guest today, his name is Michael Anderson. I know he doesn't like me saying it, Michael, but the real name is Michael, so I have to say Michael Anderson and not Mike.
That's my born name.
Thank you for being here. Now, Mr. Mike Anderson, he is a great friend of mine, first of all. Number two, he's a businessman. And he has a couple of companies, some of the companies that I haven't even mentioned here in my notes. But he's an owner of Renovation Flooring. So if you are here in Destin area, if you want to check out his store, it's in Miramar Beach. He's owner of Payfin Distribution. And I just realized this morning, Payfin, that's Peyton and Finley. That's two of your daughters' names put together. Is that right?
That's exactly right.
I was driving today. I'm like, Payfin, Peyton and Finley. I'm like, that's what it is. That's so cool.
That's it.
And so he has a distribution center. And then he's got a business that's really booming and taking off as much as I know. It's called floors.com. So, and I heard that you're starting a new business, cabinets, right? You're in cabinet business. Yes. So, well now, all this, and this is what we're going to talk about, making clear decisions in life. Because here's what I know. I'm also in business, and I own different businesses. And today, especially in 2021, we have so many things that's occupying our mind, taking our focus between social medias, different platforms of social media, between businesses, between ventures that you do. And we are so busy in life that when it comes to our decisions, we're making just impulsive decisions. We're just like, well, let's get this done. Let's just do this. And then later on, we look back and it's like, man, that's not a great decision that I've made. That's not a great decision. And even though failure is not a failure until you accept it as one, because I believe failure is experience, and you can learn from any kind of failure in life, but you need to learn from it, because if you don't learn from it, you will repeat it again and again and again and again. Now, making clear decisions in life. Mr. Michael, you have a lot of businesses, man. You do a lot of things. And I worked for you even for a little bit. And you know what? I found a friend, because I do tend to make impulsive decisions sometimes, especially when a lot of things are happening in my life. And I just like, well, let's just get this done. Let's get this done. And I found a friend that are kind of similar to me. In the beginning, when I met you, I was just like, you were a king and a ruler of all these things, and I saw how you're making decision after decision after decision, and they were great ones. They were great ones.
Some of them.
Yeah, and we both failed. I mean, I failed miserably in life. But later on, as I got to know you, and I got to know your heart, and I got to see your journey with God, and how we're changing. We're always learning. And I saw when we were sitting in our small group, and you said, man, now I do things differently. I'm changing constantly. I look at my life a little bit differently. I want to make right decisions. I want to make clear decisions, and this is what I do. And it captivated me. It did. It just kind of like, wow, you know what? Everyone needs to hear it, especially from a businessman. Because it's one thing from a preacher. I'm going to put a title of making a clear decisions. This is what Bible says. This is what Bible says. But when it comes from a businessman, and not just any kind of businessman, you've been successful businessman. When it comes from a businessman, it tends to speak a little bit louder. It tends to speak a little bit clearer. It tends to speak a little bit to the heart. So before we get to that, tell the audience a little bit about you, a little bit about who you are, how long you've been in business, about your kiddos, amazing kiddos that you have, and just introduce yourself.
My name's, look at the camera, or should I look at you?
You can look at me. I don't care. You can look at me. You can look at the camera. Absolutely.
What am I supposed to do here? Like, I don't know. Name's Mike Anderson. I grew up in the Panhandle of Florida, so kind of a native to this area. Met my wife in college, got married, been married for 13 years, going on 14 this year.
That's a great thing to celebrate, 13 years. Not everybody's got that these days.
Well, we've had our ups and downs, but it's pretty amazing, what we've been able to accomplish together, and, we have a great relationship. Got two little girls, 11 years old and 8 years old. They both go to Butler, and so kind of immersed into the community. Kind of a few things that kind of led me into business. I was kind of that guy working for other people that just decided one day that, hey, I can do this better. And so I went to my wife, told her, hey, I want to start a business. She almost slapped me in the face and like, what in the world are you talking about?
You got a secure job. You got
We got kids. We have a steady job. She had just started being a stay-at-home mom at the time, and all of a sudden it's we're going to put more financial turmoil by let's start something new. But she's very supportive. We both agreed that it was a good decision, and that's when we started the renovation flooring concept. Slowly, we've together just built that business, and as opportunities popped up, we were able to take advantage of a few of them. Some have went fantastic, some have went not as fantastic, but in the end, it's been a pretty great experience. So
you said something that even just now that you said I started business because I could do it better, right? You saw the bad things that's happening already, and so how did you make that decision? Let's start with that.
I worked for a couple other stores locally, and I saw weaknesses where I thought that they were doing things wrong, and I saw strengths where I thought they were doing things right. It was kind of a decision where and I think a lot of people go through where you almost get a little animosity built up. You reach a certain point in your life where you want to do more, and you feel like you're not really doing everything that you should be doing. So I got to that point at right around 34 years old, and kids at home, wife, tons of credit card debt, tons of things going on,
been there too.
Financial, just issues here and there, and eventually it's just to the point where you just want to, break out and do that, and I made the decision. I'm kind of on my own that look, I think I can undo this better than what I see everybody else do. And quite frankly, I'm very happy I made the decision, but very quickly when I did make the decision, I learned a lot of lessons about what other people had gone through and their struggles of building the businesses that I worked for before. And, as you well know in business, a lot of it on the surface, the sales side of it, the things that you do as a salesperson are, certain things, but you don't really understand business ownership and finances
until you
walk in those shoes. And so immediately when I decided to open the business, I also got smacked in the mouth a few times of, okay, now we got our, putting our big boy pants on now. We're going to have to really learn how to deal with some of these things that were completely unexpected. Yeah. And so, but unique. It was just a decision on my own that I thought there was just more to me than what I was delivering at that point in time.
And I can bet that many people watching right now, and they're on the inside of them, they look at business people and they're like, well, no, I'm not wired like him. He's he doesn't have any fears. He doesn't have any struggles. He doesn't have any, I just can't be like him, because they only see the outside. But in reality, I'm a businessman too. We experience so many struggles, so many fears, so many failures, to the point that I want to die. I want to quit.
Oh yeah, there's numerous times. I mean, the first year we were in business, I probably almost went bankrupt 4 times. There was days that you show up to work and, and at home, of course, I'm putting on my shiny armor of the husband who can provide and the father that's stable. And in my mind, I'm like, gosh, I don't know how I'm going to pay people next week, or I don't know how I'm going to get to this next step. And so it's kind of, a unique situation to be put in, and you got to persevere, and, a lot of prayers. I learned how to pray when I opened a business. A lot of prayers and a lot of things just to, just get through some of those things. So yeah, when you first start and you first get into it, and then you think you have this vision that, oh, well, this is just going to get better, and everything's going to be smoother and easier. And quite frankly, some things do and some things don't.
Some things don't.
Some things are just constant challenges that you have to deal with, and just lots and lots of decisions to be made. And you have to be very just defined in how you make them.
Yeah. What do you do when really some people might, and I've experienced that in church and in my businesses also, when so many things come at you and then you see in front of you is a failure, like you can't pay these bills next week, or you can't pay a payroll next week, and the things are not stopping, things are still coming at you. What do you do in those moments?
Well, I have a closet in my office. It's really small and dark, and so I like to just get out of my chair. I go in the closet and just shut the door, and then I cry. No, I'm just kidding. No.
I'm thinking if that could be you, but I don't think that's you. Okay.
No, I learned really early, and I've talked to a few people, and you and I've had this conversation before, but there's a certain amount of faith that has to happen in business.
Yeah.
And it's something that can't be explained. Your banker's not going to teach you that. Your business coaches, everything else. There's just a certain amount of knowing that you're doing the right thing, you're moving in the right direction, and you're kind of following the path that is before you, that gives you a little bit of peace in times of that. Mm-hmm. Early on, I had a really hard time with that because it was like, oh God, I'm going to fail. Like, this is going to happen. This is the end. My wife's going to be mad. My family's going to not have any, I'm going to have to go get another job. And as one of those decisions kind of happened, and then, it's almost other decisions would be made to make that better, or something would just happen that just like, oh, okay, maybe I do have this. Maybe this isn't as bad as I'm building it up to be. And that just happens repeatedly. And after a few years, you kind of just get this blind faith of just knowing that,
things are going to work out.
This is going to work. No matter what I'm dealing with today, no matter how bad this feels or looks, let me stop, clear my head, make defined decisions on the things that I can control, and then move on from there, because the things that are worrying me most of the time are the things that I can't do anything about.
You're sharing a biblical principle, because a lot of times we exercise our faith all the time, but here's what we do. When things happen, we always look towards the negative things and not the positive things. And you chose the positive. You saw that the negative things were there. The failure might come. This mountain might fall on top of me. But you know what? I'm going to persevere. I'm going to get through it. And that's what Bible teaches us. That no matter what's in Psalms, it says even 1,000 fall on my left and 10,000 on my right, I will be standing when I believe that thing's going to work out, and I believe God that He's going to help me through it. So that is amazing things. Now, I'm an impulsive decision maker. I am like that. That's in me. I'm either all in or I'm not. And if I'm a halfway, I can't do it. I don't know if you are like that, but I'm all in or I'm out. And so now my wife says this, that God does not speak to me until the last minute, because I just drop everything and I go. Now, when it comes to business, where are you at? I mean, because I know some people are stuck in it's comfort zone, and I'm just gonna be here because the paycheck is coming. What would you tell those people?
It's all about your goals and where you want to be as a business and where you want to be as a person, like what drives you. I'm not a half-in kind of guy unless it's about cleaning my garage or washing the dishes. Like I can definitely see some half-in parts on there. My wife would probably disagree with it.
Remember, you're on camera, so that Chrissy will be watching you.
I'm sure she'll find some humor in that. But when business decisions, you almost have to. You can't just dabble a little bit and say, hey, I'm gonna try this and see if it works. Your heart and your mind just aren't in it at that point. You're just kind of testing the waters. Sometimes you may get lucky and find some success with that, but there's got to be a very quick decision to be all in, because if everything is not in it, you're almost asking for a bunch of half-finished projects laying around, or half-finished things. I have to say I'm guilty of that as well on some different levels. Luckily in the businesses, I'm usually very decisive, and I try to just put everything into it I possibly can.
Yeah. So even though I'm impulsive, and I don't mind sharing that, there's some things that I do in life before I make a decision. Not always, I fail, but you've shared about pausing. in small group, you shared about taking a break just a tiny bit, a mental kind of a exhale and look at certain things. So how do you make a clear decision? What would be your golden rule? All right, I'm going to make I don't want to just make a decision. And don't look at the past, because we both have a bunch of mistakes. I'm talking about, all right, now I'm going to do things differently.
So it's a struggle for me because the way that I naturally am, I very fast to react to certain situations. And so I've had to kind of teach myself how to pause and stop what I'm doing. Because, my natural inclination is to just react. Something happens, react. Somebody pulls out in front of me, react. We always have these different things that you just cause these reactions. And what I've learned to do is try to control that and at least have a delayed reaction. And so what I've kind of been working on for the last couple of years with myself, this last year especially, is stopping, finding the good in what I'm dealing with at that given second, and then being thankful for what I do have before I react. And so those things usually guide my brain out of the instant anger or that, impulse that you want to just, make a bad decision or just make a decision into, okay, let me stop for a second. Let me think about where I am and what I'm dealing with, maybe a little bit of the consequences of my quick reaction, and then my decision can be a little more executed and positive.
You said something great, that there's always a good, and no matter what you're going through, you can always find good, and that is so true.
It is, and it's hard because naturally that's not what my brain goes to. Like when I walk into a situation, I'm always looking for the bad. When I read reviews on Amazon, I'm always looking for that negative review. I want to see, you might have 1,000 5-star reviews, but I'm going to read that 1-star review before I get to that point. And I think human nature kind of drives us that. Our culture drives us into
social media, news. It's all bad.
It's all negative. And so, the fact that I'm alive and breathing today, that's a positive thing. The fact that I'm here with you having this conversation, that's an extremely positive thing. And so working through different things, the fact that I'm even able to do some of the things I do and be where I am is positive. So I stop and think, I have that gratitude that kicks in of, okay, let me think through the situation real quick. Let me be thankful for where I am and what I'm dealing with, and remember how blessed I truly am before I make this decision and react to a situation. And it's a constant battle. I mean, my kids will tell you, they've been in the back of the car, they've seen daddy, somebody cuts daddy off on 98. 98's, it's a challenge for me. It's, there may be some foul language and a finger flying up at somebody, but it's hard.
But that's real. You know what I'm saying? Christians sugarcoat things so much. You know how many times I apologize to my kids? Hey, I'm sorry, Dad messed up. And I'm a pastor. You know what I'm saying? I'm here God put me here to lead, to be an example, and I messed up. And that's why I say it from a pulpit. And I love that, because so many Christians, they hide behind the facade of Christianity, and they know that they know how they act, they know what they do, but they choose to. Anyway, I love that. I truly love what you said, the delayed reaction. I don't even, gosh, I need to ponder on that a little bit more, because that is so good. Instead of react, instead of right away, take a little pause. Take a little bit of breather and find good, and then react.
So in business, I do the same thing. When I have an important phone call or, a problem situation, if we have a job that's not going as well as it is, naturally the customer a lot of times will call, and they always want to speak to the owner or something else. So I've learned how to delay that. Like, hey, I'm not going to take that call right now. Let them know that I'm going to call them back. And then I'll go into fact gathering, trying to figure out, okay, let me find out what's going on, what's wrong with the situation that we're dealing with, and then what can I do to make this right before I have that conversation? Because a lot of times we get into conversations a little too soon. Somebody
Heated,
might be upset.
Yeah.
Emotions get involved in it. Customer may be upset about an installer not being on the job site the second he's supposed to. And you go through this interaction, and there's no productivity that happens. The only thing that happens is the customer gets to vent. You probably vent back a little bit, but nothing positive comes out of it. So even by delaying that one little phone call or that one little interaction and kind of just getting your wits about you, figuring out what the solutions are out there, and then, looking for the positive side of what that can bring, that helps me out tremendously.
That is so good. I've talked to many people that said to me, Yuriy, my fear gripped me so much. I can't get rid of my fear. And that can be in business, that can be in church, that can be, just about God and faith and the whole walk with God. I know you've had these moments and I've had them too, when we hyperventilate and we're trying to what do you do in those moments when fear grip you?
So I have this weird thing with fear, and I've had it almost my entire life. I feel like there were a lot of people that influenced me when I was younger that were just afraid of everything. They were afraid of success. They were afraid of money. They were afraid of failure. They were afraid. I just saw fear gripping people. And so, and when I was young, I was a chicken. I didn't ride roller coasters. I wasn't the guy my dad would laugh, but he would make me ride stuff just to get me to do something. Because when I was younger, that just wasn't my thing. But when I got into high school, early college, I just started understanding, 2 Corinthians, God has not given us a spirit of fear. That was a verse that just carried with me through high school and through everything. And so I kind of early on understood that fear was not of God, it was of this world. And so I went on this mission to try to conquer as many fears as I possibly could. I would intentionally go after fear and try to, if I was afraid of something, I would intentionally try to overcome it. And so it was more, a pride thing at the time, or I can do this kind of thing at the time. So fear, grips everybody a little bit differently. And I can't say that now I'm not afraid of things at all. But once again, when I do feel fear, I kind of pause and say, okay, I understand that this fear is not, this is not real. And so what is the solution? What can I find that I can move through this business decision or through this life decision? And a lot of times, what you're afraid of never happens. And that's one thing I learned really early, is a lot of times we really dwell in fear, and we really dwell on things that, that because they're talked about, or this could happen, or this might happen. And to me, I want to deal with things that are happening. I don't want to deal with what the possibilities are. I want to deal with what's actually going on right now. So that helps me make sound decisions through these things. People that are around and close to me, they see almost when something is really hitting the fan, I usually have a pretty even keel, attitude about it. It's all right, let's figure out the facts. Let's figure out what's positive in the situation. Where can we go from here, and move on? That's if I don't get super angry and blow up and start yelling at people. But we still struggle here and there.
Yeah, we do, and we will. That's why my life verse in Philippians 1:6, the one who started a good work in you will finish it until Christ come back. So that's okay. Let me give you this last question. There's maybe people watching that want to be like you, want to start business. Maybe they don't want to have 4 businesses, 5 businesses. They want to have one. And what would you tell them? Hey, make a first step, and here's what you can do.
It's kind of a cliche, but Nike, with Nike's little swoosh logo.
Just do it, buddy.
Just do it. You can go to college. I've been to college. You can get all the education you want. You can work for other people all you want to. The only way you're ever going to get to the point where you have business is just to drop everything and do it. Focus all your energy that you possibly can on it. Clearly keep your family first and your values in the right places.
Have values.
But, establish your values early, establish a plan early, know where you want to be, and then execute that plan. And a lot of people plan for things, and they want to do things. They have all kinds of intentions, great ideas, these things, but the execution is the key to it. And a lot of the most successful people that are out there that that I've studied and work around they're the people that just did it. They're not the people that, you know, made this massive, like, oh, well, this is going to be exactly perfect and every single thing's going to get there. Because quite frankly, when you open a business, like I said before, you get punched in the mouth really quick, and you got to be able to take that punch, and then you got to be able to deliver those punches back and learn and grow and make decisions soundly that can navigate your businesses or business, you know, through that. But the very first thing I tell everybody, I mentor entrepreneurs, stuff of that nature, do it. Like, drop it all. Stop thinking about it. Do it. Go buy an LLC. Do whatever it takes. Start a bank account. Do those first things to get you in the door. And after that, you'll start getting in the rhythm of doing it over and over and over and again. Yeah.
Bro, well, thank you for your friendship. Thank you for everything you've done in my life. Man, you're the first one that I went in business with. And I remember the first impression when you met me. Remember what you told me? You said, well, you're 35. You're kind of on the other, you know, on the other side. Are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah, absolutely.
But you know what? When people love somebody right away, when people come to me in church and say, Pastor, I love you, sir. I love your sermon. I never see him again. But when people take a little bit of pause, like you did, that's exactly what you did. I'm like, I don't know about this guy, Yuri.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were pretty nuts when I first met you. But yeah, it's been a great experience.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. And guys, I just wanted to recap this. What he said today is if you wanted to make a clear decision, instead of reacting, pause. Find something positive in the situation. Take a breath, delayed reaction, and then act upon it from a different point of view. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine in you, be gracious to you, turn his face towards you, and give you peace. And don't forget to share, leave a review, share with your friends on all the platforms that you're watching. And until next time, be blessed.